Joe Leigh here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by Francis Warren here. Bit of a different venue today. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Good, yeah. Thought we'd shake it up a little bit different.
And we have obviously a good card this weekend as well, which we'll start with. Obviously, Hamzah Sheeraz is out. Lennox Clark in a great fight against Mark Heffron as well. But overall, the card is solid. Dennis McCann, not to mention as well.
Yeah, it's a good, solid card. I think I'm looking forward to seeing Hamza make that step up, fight for a big title. Obviously, previously held by Sam Eggington, and it's one that I think will give Hamza that lift. But also, as opponent, will want to come over and secure what is considered by the WBC sort of only second to the world title. He probably gives you a top 5-6 ranking pretty quickly with the BC as well. So he'll be mixing in good company. Obviously, the BC aren't going to approve a fight that's not credible. So it's something, or an opponent, I should say, that's not credible. So it's a decent fight for Hamza, and he'll have to definitely be on his best, one of his best performances to make sure he gets a result.
How important was it to get him in this kind of fight after him obviously getting that Young Writers Award?
Well, it's all about progression. It's all about momentum, and it's all very calculated. It's all very concise, and it's all very considered. As it is with all the guys that we look after. It's not just pick a name out of a hat and here we go. It's all about a development, and it is still very much a development process, stage of Hamza's career, but one that's going very, very well, and we've got very, very high hopes for him, and I know that he's getting that recognition from the boxing journalists, boxing public, boxing fans, and obviously the next aim is to make him cross over into that mainstream sporting audience, and by having good solid fights like this, it's a good step in that direction.
Yeah. With that being said, when can we expect to see him in even bigger fights, the fights that excite people at world level?
Listen, there's no need to rush anything, is there? I think it's about getting that international experience. There's obviously some domestic fights as well that I think would enhance Hamza's reputation and his popularity. But again, it's about development, picking the right fights at the right time, the old saying. But it's probably the most. It's probably the most accurate description of our job, which is picking the right fights at the right time. Because I know some of these guys want to run at a minute, will fight at a million miles an hour. I'm sure if you offered Hamza a world title fight in 3 or 4 fights time, he'd probably take it. But it's about career progression, and like I said, there's some really intriguing domestic matchups that could be made over the next sort of 12 to 18 months before we get there.
Dennis McCann, kind of similar thing, I could imagine you saying. But how would you judge his career so far?
I think it was set out in a blaze of glory, and everyone got very, very excited, calling him the next Nassim Hamed. I think by his own admission, there's been a couple of performances that he's not massively happy with. But again, he said, he's a baby. He might have been fighting for. He feels like he's been around a long time. I think he made his debut on the Billy Joe Saunders undercard on the Stevenage show. So it feels like a long time ago. So again, Dennis, I think he's filling out. He's still trying to find his natural weight. This fight's for the WBC International at featherweight, and James Beach is a tough guy. I think fair play to Dennis and to Alan and the guys for taking this, because if you're not on point against someone like James Beach Jr., then you're going to get found out. So Dennis has got to be 110% on it and ready to mix it. I think as well. I think he's going to have to dig deep. Because James Beach would take you there, as he did with Chris Bourke, for example, only a year or so ago. So yeah, Dennis has got to be on point, and again, it's winning a title. It's that next step in the right direction, and again, it's about making matchups that keep Dennis progressing and enhancing his development.
Yeah, tune in BT Sports Saturday night. In other news, what's the latest, or I guess what's your reaction, opinion? Tommy Fury couldn't get into the US and the fight's off.
We're here today to talk about this today, so I think there's plenty been said about it, so let's just concentrate on these guys today.
Fair enough. Quickly on the Eubank Ben fight, it was kind of tipped a couple of days ago. Apparently, we're not sure whether it's happened, but if that fight was to be made, that would be massive for boxing. It would be an exciting fight.
Are they here today? We're here to talk about these guys here today. Yeah.
That's fair enough. One thing that's kind of been brought up on socials, but it's a known thing now, is because there's so many TV promoters. Obviously, with Sky in the running, with Boxer, Ben Shalom, then there's Eddie, Matchroom, and then BT, and you guys. People have said that the shows, or the quality in shows, are now dipping because there's a wider spread of promoters. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, I think you've only got to look at this weekend. Hamzah Sheeraz in the WBC silver title. Lennox Clark against Mark Heffron in what many people think is a 50-50 British and Commonwealth title fight. Dennis McCann, James Beach, that's a very good development fight for Dennis. We've got, stacked undercard with, probably some of the best talent in the UK coming through. Carol Atoma, Pierce O'Leary. As far as I'm concerned, our cards are quality, of the highest quality. You've only got to look at this weekend to answer your own question.
And one more on this topic. What do you make of the other shows, obviously with the same question in mind?
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and judge other people's shows. I think it's disrespectful to the fighters to say that they're not in high quality fights. We just concentrate on what we do, and I think we do it very, very well. Other people can crack on, I thought, for example, I thought Edgerton's fight was very, very good the other week. Chisora at the weekend, it was what it was. It's two old boys giving it, one last hurrah, and the winner got another hurrah, and that's pretty much what it is. But I'm not going to sit here and disrespect any other fighters and disrespect other shows, because I just think it's a detriment to the sport. I think we need to be championing the fighters, not knocking them. So that's my stance on it. That's
fair enough. I respect that. I want to continue on the undercard, but just you brought up Chisora Pulev. Eddie kind of brought up the Wilder fight. Chisora Wilder's too.
Me and Derek go way, way back, and I called Derek, one of the people that look after Derek's career, probably a year ago. I said, please don't let him fight Wilder. That's the one fight that out of all of them, I just think it'd be a disaster for him. Doesn't need that, He's just, if he was going to fight on, but don't do that. That's it's the hardest punch in heavyweight, probably in heavyweight history. I think if you look at the stats, and I just think if Derek, and I think he's probably a little bit older than me, Derek. So I just think whatever condition you're in, he's you're going up against a guy who punches harder than anyone else on the planet, and I just don't think Derek needs that. There's fights out there, there's fun fights for him, and I just think go and enjoy the last part of your career. Don't go and get poleaxed by Wilder, because I just think that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Okay, back onto this weekend. Lennox Clark, Mark Heffron is a good fight. We haven't seen Lennox Clark out there in a while, but this weekend's the biggest.
I'm saying it as a mate. I'm not being disrespectful to Derek. I'm saying it as an old friend, and I'm sure we'll be friends for many years to come. And I just think that's a disaster for him.
No, even in the post-fight press, someone I think brought it up, and he shied away from himself. I think he knows that himself. He's only got a few fights left.
It'll be fun for him, but it won't go well. You just know it won't go well, because Derek gets caught, Derek gets clipped, and however much you give it back, you can't give it back if you're lying on your back, and Wilder puts people to sleep. So, there's only one guy that hasn't been able to, Deontay hasn't been able to do that, and that was Tyson Fury. And then if you're starting to look through if you want to start looking at the records comparisons, you look what Tyson did to Derek. So I just think it's just a disaster for Derek. So don't take that fight, please.
It's all wrong. Did you see the video of Tyson on tour saying he'll come back to fight AJ for free?
I haven't seen that, no.
Obviously, take it with a pinch of salt, but he kind of had a dig at AJ saying, I won't do it in another country for more money. I'd rather do it in England. Which you have to respect.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got way too much time on your hands, you have.
I think it's Michael Benson's Twitter, to be fair. But quickly as we finish on the main event this weekend.
Yeah, I think Hamza, it's a good fight. Tune in.
Sorry, I thought it was Heffron Clark. Is Hamza the main?
Hamza will be last fight on the night. Yeah. So it's I suppose co-main events, I'd call it, probably co-main. So I just think it's if you want to talk about Heffron and Clark, Lennox has been out a long time. I think after probably I think his career best performance was probably against Lerone Richards. Actually, I think that's the one where that's probably why he feels a bit sore about it still. But I think obviously a very, very good night against Willie Hutchinson. Mark's been thereabouts, and been there, done it a few times at this level. So he'll be confident. I just think that you've got to tune in and watch a real, genuine grudge match, because this is going to be a great night, great fight. And
you've triggered another little question there, Denzel Bentley.
Denzel, what?
We saw him beat Udofia, of course. What are we going to see him do next? Two-time British champion now.
Two-time British champion. He's we've got a few different options for him. Obviously, we've got a couple of ideas in mind, which obviously we'll talk about in the next couple of weeks.
I know you're not going to share them, so I'm gonna end it here. But obviously, this Saturday, tune into BT Sport. It's going to be a good show.
Nice one. Thank you very much, mate.